zitaweza tatuliwa namna gani.
Now to matters education, the first batch of Form 1 students under the free-day secondary education program is to report in various schools starting tomorrow. The Form 1 students report after all the schools have received the government-procured textbooks. Schools in 15 counties will get the books today. And for schools with boarding facilities, national schools and extra-county schools in the urban centers of Nairobi, Nakuru, Mombasa, Kisumu and Eldoret will charge 53,554 Kenya shillings. All other boarding schools will charge 40,435 shillings. And President Uhuru Kenyatta said his government has already disbursed 29.5 billion shillings for the program in a bid to achieve a 100% transition from primary to secondary school level. Joining us now by way of phone is Dr. Emmanuel Manyasa from Twaweza, Kenya. He is an educationist. He's joining us now by way of phone to just get his thoughts on this new projects or in the education sector, of course, spearheaded by the government of the day. Thank you very much, Dr. Manyasa, for joining us here on a KTN News Desk. This free day secondary school brings back memories of the free primary school and the influx of students in facilities after the program was introduced. What do we expect to see this time round in comparison to when the free primary school education began in the country?
Thank you, Akifa, for having me. I think the government's plan to create universal secondary education is a good one. Mm-hmm. I actually think that we hope we learned from the mistakes of the 2003 in January, mm-hmm. and that there will be a systematic process of admitting those who want to join under the free secondary education program, so that it doesn't disrupt learning in schools like the 2003 free primary education disrupted schools.
But even as you applaud, I mean, this has been lauded by a number of people and stakeholders, from the parents to the teachers, but there are voices of concern on the capacity in various schools in the country, the infrastructure in place, and how many students it can accommodate. I mean, how do we tackle some of these problems that come up with some of these decisions that have been taken by the government?
That's why I'm saying that I hope we have learned from the mistakes of 2003, because what happened in 2003 is that everyone who felt they would join a school, they walked into any school that they wanted. I am expecting that there is a structure in this case of admission through which every school will only be able to admit up its capacity, mm-hmm. so that there will be no school with more children than its capacity. And if there is need, then government should be ready with resources to support schools that will require immediate resources to expand capacity. Because if that plan is not there, then we expect that this implementation will fail.
Were done after 2003, and they have been consistent ones over the year. Twaweza has done a number on transition vis-a-vis the quality of education that are received in schools. Is this a concern even as we get into the free education, free secondary education system?
Yes, this is a major concern because if we do not provide sufficient resources and facilities, and also just allow schools to grow naturally with their management capacity, mm-hmm. then we'll end up creating a scenario that we have right now where primary education is segmented. We have all the children or parents who are capable of paying, taking their children to private schools, mm-hmm. and then we have public schools being a reserve of the children of parents who can't afford to pay. Mm-hmm. That segmentation is bad. Yes. For education, is bad for society, and we hope that that doesn't happen with secondary education. Mm-hmm. So the onus is on government to make sure that the implementation is smooth, to make sure that sufficient resources are set aside, and to make sure that they listen to the principals of schools, because they are the ones on the ground. They should listen to them when they tell them, this is what we are able to do, and here we have this and that challenge. If there is need, we could even stagger the implementation of the program, so that this year we say we are admitting only those who came from class 8 in 2017. And as we improve our capacity, then we could allow those who had dropped out of school in the previous years to rejoin maybe next year, so that there is a clear process of implementing to make sure we do not kill public secondary school sector like we killed the public primary school sector.
Finally, there are a lot of changes that are being undertaken in the education system in the country, from, of course, free secondary education to the government now buying textbooks for students, which is a very good move that has been lauded by so many people. We also have the curriculum development and the curriculum change expected to kick off next year. As an educationist, what are your general thoughts about all these changes in our education system at this point in time?
Actually, government has been providing funds for textbooks. Except that this time, government is buying them directly. The fear with that is that we have a history where government has never been efficient in delivering anything. And that is our problem that could arise when we supply books this year and next year we start to experience problems. However, if the budgetary provisions are sufficient, and if we make sure that the normal problems, cartels infiltrating our systems, do not arise, I think it will be a good thing to have government supply. And I also want to just urge the ministry to make sure that the fees guidelines are adhered to, because they have been there and they have never been adhered to. And that is a major problem. Then you have the issue of looking at children whom their problem is not just tuition fees, so that even if you waive tuition fees, they still have so many challenges. They cannot afford uniform. They cannot afford other non-tuition expenses that actually keep many children out of school. I would want to see a situation where a lot of funds, and I have seen in sections of the media today an editorial about bursaries failing. I would like to see all the bursary funds that have been distributed across the country consolidated into a significant fund that provides for the children who actually need that support, so that we get all the children in school, because there are problems away from tuition that actually keep children out of school.
Well, thank you very much for joining us here on KTN News Desk. That is Dr. Emmanuel Manyasa, who's an educationist and a director at the Twaweza Kenya, joining us to just give us insights on some of the projects being spearheaded in the education sector, and with the Form 1s reporting to school tomorrow, and with a free day secondary education especially expected to kick off. What